Shout out to everybody. We back again. Yo, I had to restart it for some reason. Like, it was just like the views were like stagnating. They kind of wasn't pushing the video out. So, you know, it is what it is. We just started a new one. But shout out to everybody. So it looks like people are very, very frustrated with the Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party. And, you know, we've been hearing different things. We watched Piers Morgan. He had kind of like a panel. They talked. They've been going back and forth, kind of arguing their points of views, you know, Democrat versus Republican. Let's listen to a little bit more of that. Shout out to Piers Morgan.
I'm repeating myself. I'm saying that I listened to a rally at which people said things that Nazis said. Do you deny that Joseph Goebbels talked about enemy of the people, that enemy within is a Hitler line?
So anyone who uses the phrase enemy of the people is a Nazi?
Not anyone. When Trump consistently uses Trump language, Hitler language, when he says poisoning the blood of the immigrants, was that coincidence as well? Even after he was told that's only from Mein Kampf and he said it again. Was that a coincidence?
It was a Nazi rally to you.
Was that a coincidence?
Was it a Nazi rally?
No, it was a Nazi-style rally. People said absolutely neo-Nazi things.
So these people are capable of perpetrating a Holocaust.
Gotcha line, and I want you to do with facts. Is a great replacement theory Nazi theory or not? No. Sorry, facts matter. You can't just say, I'm going to ask you about headline
You're
pictures.
missing my overall point, which is this.
It's not my fault that
my
you don't
point is that you two are very exercised about the...
I'm exercised by the fact that you don't deal in facts, Piers.
Mehdi,
the great replacement
let me get a word in.
No, great replacement theory
He
is
said
neo-Nazi
no.
theory.
He said, let me get a word in. He said no.
Address that. I can't continue this conversation.
Let me come to Sarah for... I want to move to a different thing, because you're not going to address the fact you think
you don't know what the great replacement
You think
theory
they're a
is.
bunch of Nazis, but don't really want to say
say they're a bunch of
watches
Nazis.
both of your shows. I love watching you guys do this to each other, because watching you guys do it to other people is infuriating, and when you guys go to each other, it's very funny.
And I enjoy it too.
It is true, though. You don't deal in fact when you talk about Trump, though. I agree with him.
No, I do. I'm very...
What's the great replacement theory? Why don't you tell your
You
viewers?
guys get mad about Trump being
Hang
compared
on.
to Hitler.
I
Trump
know the
literally
great
says,
replacement
I want to
theory.
suspend the Constitution
I don't
if I vote
agree-
fraud.
I don't
Trump
agree
literally
with the
says
great
that the media
replacement
are the enemy
theory.
of the people.
So why
Like,
was it echoed
What's up, JL in the chat? Shout out to you.
by Tucker Carlson and Don Jr. yesterday at the rally?
But I don't agree with it. What do you want me to say?
So you're yeah, he said replace. Yes, Don Jr. was speaking. He said replace the immigrants coming to replace us.
Trump was on a
Where's the rally?
softball question by Sean Hannity, and he said he'd be a dictator on day
Well,
one.
let me ask you
Hannity
about...
was teeing him up for a softball
all right,
question.
but let me ask you about illegal immigration then, Destiny. So we've seen an unbelievably large number of illegal immigrants come in during the Biden-Harris administration. Do you think this is right for America?
I don't think that Republicans think that illegal immigration is a problem right now. In fact, I'm 100% confident.
That wasn't my question.
I
said, do you think it's right that between 7 and 10 million people
the reality
have
is,
come in illegally?
here are two
Hey, thank you for liking the I can see you liking the video. Thank you.
facts that nobody will ever
is it
talk
right?
about. Here are two, I'll tell you, here are two facts that we do not have a problem right now with illegal immigration in the United States. We have a problem with asylum seeking, okay? That's the number.
This dude just said we do not have a problem with illegal immigration in the United States. Like, this cannot be real, bro.
One, that's a huge thing. But number two, if this was such a huge problem, why were Republicans so content to pull the plug on it when Donald Trump said, I need to leave the border open for me to run on this as an election issue? You know what that tells me? That tells me it was never really a problem in the first
So it's
place.
Trump's
It was
fault.
just a talking point.
It's Trump's fault.
Definitionally.
Chaos.
Wait. I got to hear this. Do you understand? Do you agree that Donald Trump was the one that told them to pull the plug on the bill?
He said so.
Well, I don't think...
Wait. Do you agree that Donald Trump told them, do not vote yes on
I
this
can
bill?
try and answer.
Okay.
I don't think he should have been active in getting that bill pulled, because it would have helped. However, and I want to bring Sarah in on this, you cannot dispute there is a massive crisis at the southern border, nor can you dispute...
I'm shocked that you say that Republicans don't believe that the influx of illegal aliens across our borders is not a problem.
Why'd
It
they
is
pull
a
the plug on the
problem.
bill?
It is a problem, and I think it's not just Republicans who recognize that. Look at even the Democrat leaders of cities who are being overrun, their budgets being busted, trying to support the
And they all
illegals
supported the
who are
bill. They
coming
supported
in.
the bill.
Do you not think blaming Trump for everything though is a bit lame?
I'm talking about
They were ready to
me
vote for
bring
the
it
bill,
down.
and then Trump said, don't do it.
Let me bring it
McConnell,
down.
Cruz,
Hang on.
Langford, all these
Hang
people
on.
said we were going to vote for the bill, and then Trump pulled the plug
a
on
show
it.
where you've not
Hang
said
on.
one critical thing about Donald Trump since it started.
Actually, what I was going to say to you before I
one
got
critical thing you
before
said
I
to
got
us.
shouted
Unbelievable.
over yet again on my own show, what I was going to say to you was,
I thought it was going to be Dave and Sarah versus me and Destiny,
Trump-
but apparently
when-
it's
hang on.
me and Destiny versus Sarah and Piers.
when I, you always like to do this, and it's not true.
I've not heard you say one critical thing about Trump.
When Trump was
Not
president,
one.
I wrote 110 columns for the Daily Mail about Trump. When he left, I counted negative, positive. It was about a 50-50.
Great, but not
right?
today.
So I have been very...
I'm great, but not today.
Very critical of Trump when I felt he's deserved it. Well, no, because I find that with you and with Jesse, with great respect to you guys, you absolutely love sticking it to him. When I try and stick it back to your own problems with your own party, you don't want to hear it.
Hey, please, I can assure you, I wish that I hadn't heard a bunch of racist stuff last night. I'm just coming on the show to say I heard a bunch of racist stuff last
Dave,
night.
let me ask you this, Dave. Trump's most powerful part of his speech last night was his first line, where he said, let me start by just saying this. How many of you feel better off than you did 4 years ago? And they all do any of you? And they all shouted no. I can imagine millions of Americans at home who've had an extremely tough 4 years because of massive inflation and huge cost of living problems would all be shouting no as well. That, in the end, I suspect will win Trump the election. Nothing else. I suspect it's actually going to be, well, it'll be the failure to control the border, but it will be predominantly that people feel they are worse off than they were 4 years ago.
Well, I think the thing that really undercuts this pitch from Donald Trump is that he really means 5 years ago. Yeah. You know, like Donald Trump has to run on the first 3 years of his administration and then go, hey, that whole 2020 thing really doesn't count because, like, we got hit with this virus and the Democrats would have done the same thing. Or
is it unreasonable, that position? Given it was a global pandemic.
Well, it is yes and no.
Given by common consent,
okay, so here's
America performed better than most countries. In the pandemic.
Well, it depends on how you measure.
It's just fundamentally untrue.
It totally depends on how you measure
Economically,
it.
It is believed America performed better than most countries.
Well, we also recovered better, but Biden doesn't get credit for that.
Jeez, guys. I mean, I know it's like a week before an election, man, and everything's just got to get down to this tribal. Like,
yeah, man. Like, I wish it would be like neutral party, like sitting here arguing. I don't see anybody really neutral, like super left and super right.
We got to win this point, man. But just for a second, I will say that it's like, look, on one hand...
Somebody said Destiny is a weirdo. And I'm pretty weird, so should I know? So I should
Donald Trump benefits from is the fact that the entire Democratic criticism of Donald Trump through 2020 was just that he didn't do more lockdowns and do more, you know what I mean? Like, and so they kind of don't get to say it, but he also doesn't really get. The truth is, 4 years ago from today, a lot of Americans were worse off than they are right now because they were recovering from.
Hold on, y'all being mean now. Let me show y'all something, bro. Y'all being like real mean. We were talking about like bump stocks and stuff like that in the other. Let me show y'all this. Why y'all doing this? This is mean. Can y'all be nice? That's mean, bro. Y'all gotta chill.
Lockdowns. There were people whose businesses were shut down.
That's why he said from the start of the administration.
In my opinion, if Donald Trump had been a great leader, had actually risen to the moment he was called to, and had gotten Fauci off that task force, and had been against lockdowns, and had kept somewhat of liberty going through that year, he'd be in a much stronger position
the irony, Mehdi?
To say that.
The irony is that Trump in the pandemic actually behaved like a good old-fashioned authoritarian, and you lot screamed it wasn't authoritarian enough.
Well, listen, I will say, I do think, well, maybe not you. There were certainly a lot of people who were critical of that.
Fundamentally on Fauci, of course. But that's a different
sure, but that's a separate point. Now, for Donald Trump, what he can kind of get at is that, the first 3 years of his administration certainly were much better times for many Americans. I would say this, however, I think in some ways Donald Trump is fortunate that he didn't win the election in 2020 because...
Hey, lovely. Why are you telling me to read Project 2025? I'm only saying that because we've already looked at videos of Trump saying that he doesn't want anything to do with Project 2025. So what will be the point of us like rereading like Project 2025? He already said that's not him. What he wants to do.
Those years were going to be very tough years for the country, and now the Democrats
had the fastest growing economy in the G7.
Yes, depending on how you want to measure these things, I think they've been very difficult.
Consent, I think is the word.
Man, you guys just are like impossible.
We facts
Because you
matter.
try to
I'm
speak
sorry,
so
Dave,
many
facts
bullshit
matter.
facts. The
Facts
United
matter.
States is doing better than every OECD country, than every G7 country when it comes to
You
inflation, and then
literally
you try to blame it on Biden.
I
So
said
hang
one
on.
thing. No, I didn't. Destiny, I'm actually not trying to blame it on Biden.
Yeah.
If you listen to what I said whoever was going to be in there was going to have. But that's what you hear because
Even
you're
the
in
things
this,
that you
can I
claim-
win the point
No, it's
mode
not about
rather
winning the
than
point.
having any
Even when you
type
say
of real
people were mad about
conversation.
Trump for not being an authoritarian enough, that's not true. People were mad about Trump because, one, he denied that COVID was even in the country for days or weeks until it was finally evident that we had to say something about it. And then, two, Donald Trump undermined his own health administration so much that the one thing that he wished he could take credit for that he tried to, which was warp speed for the vaccine, he couldn't even do it because his electorate wouldn't even believe that vaccines work.
Hang on, let me bring in Sarah.
Thank you. I do.
Let me bring in Sarah.
I don't believe anything that dude says.
Making a
Let me bring it
point
up.
based on Trump's opening line,
Yes.
right? And I think you were going to make an
Hit the
interesting
like button if y'all can, because we got to push the video up.
point, but you were
The
interrupted.
factual world drives us back so much, I know.
You mumbled an answer though when he said Trump asked the audience, "Are you better off
Yeah.
today than you were?" And you said, "Well,
No, they are better off today.
You're saying we are better off
Factually,
today?
yeah, I know facts
Really,
don't matter
the
to you, but they-
$33 trillion debt that we are, the trajectory of this debt too is
much did Donald
it's
Trump
going the
cut the
wong
debt by?
direction.
So hold on, Trump added more to the
Yeah,
debt
did-
than any
did Trump
previous
cut the
president.
debt?
I'm
And the
going to
economy
give you
was
an
booming.
example.
If we're just gonna do
of
Yeah, for
why-
1 year.
Look at
Please
the
do it, then I'll
inflation
respond.
rate.
Yep.
Go into a grocery store, see what it costs to
Yep.
buy a dozen eggs, to buy a pound of butter, to fuel up your truck. All these things.
But look at the polls.
that-
But look at the polls, by the way, which show the two biggest issues for American voters in this election by far
We're not better
are the
off
economy,
today.
cost of living, and immigration. And that is why, if Trump ends up winning, it will be on those two issues.
We
Rent,
agree for the first time
mortgage.
in the show. I agree with you that the polling is bad on the economy, that Americans, the vibes are bad on the
That
economy.
we're not better
But the
off
point
today.
Destiny made
I
just
know,
now
Sarah
is that
Palin,
facts
get him,
also
bro.
matter.
He
So,
bugging.
I thought it was a conservative line. Facts don't care about you.
Like he said, he thinks Americans are better off today. Like, this dude is bugged out, bro.
Feelings. I don't care that Americans feel bad about the economy. The numbers are very clear. Every economist says the same thing. Every survey shows the same thing. Real wages are actually higher today than they were
they're
in
not.
September
They're
2020.
not.
They are.
Not
Real wages are
factoring-
higher. Real wages. You know what real wages are? What do you mean not factoring?
No.
Real wages factor in inflation, Sarah Palin.
No.
That's what
I
real
tried to get
wages
my
are.
dog.
Factoring inflation.
Exactly.
Real wages are higher
Factoring-
today
and no,
than
they're
in
not.
September
No, they're
2020.
not.
In fact, wages have
I tried to get my dog like some treats. They were like $18.99 for some treats. That's crazy.
outstripped prices for the last 20 straight months. Household net worth is at a record high. Unemployment is at a 50-year low. We now have 6 million fewer people unemployed.
So why do the
than when
vast majority
Biden-
of
than when Trump was
Americans feel
president.
worse off?
Sorry?
Are they all lying about
I think
being worse
inflation
off?
took a toll, huge toll.
So they are worse off.
But the inflation's now down, right?
No,
We're at the
but
lowest inflation rate since
are they
February
worse off
2021.
then?
No, because now real wages
They're
are
not.
up.
You just
no.
said you inferred they were.
Have prices decreased
First of all,
then?
it's
through
first of all,
this
again,
rate of-
I agree that Americans are upset about prices. I'm upset about prices. But it was a global problem, was it not? Did you not just say
Why
the
would they be-
pandemic was a global
Mehdi,
problem?
why would they
was
be
inflation not a
hang on,
global problem?
let me- why would they be upset about prices if they're not worse off?
Because they
Prices
were.
is one factor.
Hold on. In
Yeah, he's crazy. This dude's like literally nuts. He said they have also said that unemployment is nearly at their target as well.
2022, when we hit record high levels of inflation, if I had sat on your show
So they
then,
still feel worse off today.
We
I think-
still have
well,
that inflation. It's
I-
cumulative. It's year over year. It adds
So they
up.
are worse off
Hold
then.
on, Piers.
So
No,
my
that's
point
one
is,
He's like, wait, they got me.
Prices are just
So
one
they-
thing.
so they
Wages
are
are another
worse
thing.
off.
Net worth
You're
is another
asking a
thing.
different question. I already conceded. Do people feel worse off? Yes, but the numbers say something else.
So
Do
they're,
you understand?
well, they're all
there's a difference?
completely deluded.
Yeah, people not deluded, but people. You think the public know everything
you are
about everything?
underestimating the wisdom of the people.
There's
No.
polling on this. You can look at the
Yeah,
YouGov
but
polls. You
this
can
is-
see. You can
this has
see.
been, by the way, since Joe Biden
Yes,
was
I think the
running for
Republican
office,
Party
and this
itself
has,
is all about
all right.
feelings.
So this has actually been the official Democratic line, which is that this is a great economy. They were saying this back this summer when Joe Biden was in. It's a great economy. All of the numbers show it. All of the economists say it. But there's this problem where people just don't agree,
They
and
don't
people are so
understand.
stupid
Hold on,
that
they don't
think
know
that-
they're
just
actually
hold on,
better
just give me
off.
one second. Let me get a sentence out here. Listen, as you guys kind of just alluded to there, look, the problem with inflation is that it is cumulative, and so even though the inflation rate has come down,
prices
that's
are
just
still going up.
adding to the prices,
Correct.
and people have been absolutely destroyed over the last 3.5 years over this price inflation. It is literally everybody I know has felt the pressure of it. Even people who make like really good money. It's been very, very difficult. I do not think this is something that is at the lays at the feet of one party or the other. The truth is that Donald Trump in the year 2020, when not all Trump, but his government locked down the economy and added $6 trillion to the money supply in the year 2020. That was going to result in some price inflation. Biden then in 2021 came in. They kept the money printing going.
But it was
they
also
kept
a global
the
issue,
government.
Dave.
I'm not denying there was inflation problems around the globe. I'm saying we're talking about America right now. This is something that is now the politics of it are that the actual price inflation pretty much all fell on Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's watch, and that's very difficult to get yourself out
Can
from
I just say
under.
one point about this thing about you say about facts and feelings? I can prove to you that Americans are not doing this as some kind of rational calculation. I can prove it to you.
Go on.
If the
Yo, we had Michelle Obama actually do a speech saying that Americans are so enraged off of the slow pace of the last 4 years. Like, so what is this dude saying? Like, this dude is in disbelief. He just on here just Jay Barley said, study analytics. They teach you to clean and resolve data to reach an agreeable consensus. And then Haster said, objectively, economic growth is technically better than most countries around the world. However, the problem is that wages have not caught back up now that inflation is under control.
Americans people really cared about inflation and prices, that's
That's
their
a
number
good
one issue,
point, bro.
then they would vote Harris. Because every single economist, 95% of economists, according to a University of Chicago survey, say they will pay higher in tariffs. Tariffs will bring up inflation. Every serious economist in this country...
you're missing...
No, Piers, you're missing the point. Because if inflation is
Yeah,
your number one
that's
issue...
my point.
Because you didn't let me finish mine, you jumped in. If inflation is their number one issue, then they should be voting for Harris.
Okay.
That proves that inflation's not their top
Here's
issue.
the problem. The problem is that the reality of the inflation issue, as you've all basically admitted, is that inflation, by very definition, is increasing prices even if the rate comes down. So Americans are paying consistently, month by month by month, for the entire Biden-Harris administration.
Right,
they're paying more when they go to the grocery
But
store.
their wages have gone up too, Piers. This is a key part of economics.
But the
real wages have gone up.
But the vast
That's what you're
majority
missing.
of working class people in America
Their wages have gone up.
they feel
It
worse
hasn't gone up enough to, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, inflation is like up here, wages go up a little bit. So yeah, I mean, they may have went up to some people, but inflation is still like up here. You see what I'm saying? Like inflation came down, but the prices are up here. Like they're still like reflecting, you know, when interest rate hikes were like super high. So, but I get what he's saying. Like it, you know, money, you know, the amount of money people make went up a little bit, but it's not really gonna help fix anything. And then Haster said, objectively, economic growth is technically better than most countries around the world. However, the problem is that wages have not caught back up now that inflation is under control.
off. And that is going to... ultimately is going to resonate.
We're kind
at the
of
bottom
not really
box.
disagreeing. At the very beginning, I said I take your point about feelings.
Yeah.
I'm just saying facts show that they're better off. If you want to answer the question Trump asked honestly, people are better off
Okay,
today.
let's turn to war, because that should calm down the debate. Destiny, look, obviously it's a pretty consequential election in many ways, but not least, I would argue, for the fate of people in Gaza and Ukraine and other hotspots around the world. Where are we with these? I mean, it's quite interesting to me that for the first time I can remember, you have a body of Republicans who do not want to back, say, Ukraine against a Russian dictator that illegally invaded their country. I remain very perplexed and surprised that that is the view. And Sarah, we can come to you for why that may be. But that is the case. If Trump was to win, he says he'll fix it all in 24 hours. I don't think he will, but he will try and do a deal. The question is, what is that deal? Because Ukraine are saying they're not going to give up an inch of the land.
So the issue is that Donald Trump is a 4-year-old when it comes to understanding any issue, but especially foreign policy. And a lot of people have this, they're obsessed with this idea of peace in their mind, which if you're in conflict, peace is the furthest thing from your mind. You want some kind of just peace or justice, right? So Trump's solution for Ukraine is just give up the land that's been taken from you and everything will be kosher, just like Russia did in Moldova with Transnistria Transnistria, just like Russia did with South Ossetia, and I can't even pronounce the other place in Georgia, and just like Russia's trying to do now with Ukraine. If you're somebody that wants, justice for Ukraine, and you want the United States to remain a world leader when it comes to, ensuring trade routes or being somebody that the world looks to ensure relative peace and freedom and stability throughout places like Europe, which it has enjoyed historically more in the past 30 years than it had in the 200 years prior to that, Donald Trump obviously is not going to do that for you. If you're somebody who's very concerned about the Israeli-Gaza conflict, I mean, you've got Donald Trump, who wholeheartedly, he said it before, will support Israel basically no matter what, with absolutely, no contention whatsoever. You've got a guy who agreed to moving the embassy, who before that was talking about pulling all of the UNRWA funding from the Gaza Strip, who would support Netanyahu through and through. The whole reason why those Abraham Accords started was because Netanyahu wanted to start annexing parts of the West Bank, right? Donald Trump is not going to help any of the Palestinians if that's something that you're concerned about. Insofar as peace in the Middle East, I mean, you've got this talking point over and over again, no new wars, no new wars. Yeah, again, we haven't had any new wars since World War II, right? The war in Iraq was the use of force authorization, or the authorization of the use of force, but it wasn't technically a war.
Well, it was,
Trump,
it was a war.
You can call it that, but Donald Trump bombed Syria. Donald Trump bombed Syria. That wasn't a war, apparently. Yeah, with no congressional authorization. Iran attacked Saudi Arabia. They did a drone strike on oil refineries. There was conflict all throughout Iraq and Syria. Donald Trump abandoned Kurdish allies in Syria. Donald Trump signed a deal with the Taliban and essentially forfeited Afghanistan. And there was the whole fallout from that. Like, this idea that there was peace in the Middle East under Donald Trump is absolutely ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense.
Look, I actually think Trump's foreign policy was a lot more effective than people give him credit for.
He did nothing. What was effective about it?
Well, there's not. Look, I mean, it's not. There's some truth in there mixed with some just like attempts to get Donald Trump. Look, when people say there were no new wars under Donald Trump, there is. First of all, I'll say at least that's the talking point. At least that's what they're going with, rather than going, he killed all them terrorists or something like that, which would have 20 years ago would have been the talking point from people on the right wing. So that's at least better. But the reason why they wouldn't consider him bombing Syria a new war is because Obama had us already in that conflict since 2012.
When he reneged on his red line.
Yes. Now listen. By the way, there are
Assad used chemical weapons, and Obama did nothing, and Putin came in and took control. Well, that's what happened.
Okay.
Yes?
Anyway, yes.
That
well,
what happened?
Well, actually, if you want to really look at what happened in 2012, because the war, and I know you know about this stuff, because the war in Iraq had been such a disaster, and the power had been handed back to the Shiites in the region, and Iran had more influence than they had had in the history of the regime, then it really started under George W. Bush, but then continued into Obama. They did what they call the redirect, where now we were going to try to take the Shiites down a peg, who we had just put in power in Iraq. And so what we wanted to do was overthrow Bashar al-Assad, and so we started funding all of the anti-Assad rebels, which largely consisted of al-Qaeda and ISIS, and they knew this. Anyway, it wasn't like during Obama inherited these two wars in Iraq and Afghanistan and said he was going to end at least the one in Iraq. He then spread wars to Libya, Syria, Yemen. Somalia had already been going since George W. Bush was in there. You didn't see that under Donald Trump. You didn't see. However, he did.
Disagree.
Yes. If you let me finish the sentence, then sure, we'd get there. However, he did escalate the war in Afghanistan, which he said himself was unwinnable, and so he escalated the war in Afghanistan. Not like Obama with 70,000 plus troops there, but he did send thousands extra troops. He did take off the gloves with drone strikes and rules of engagement. So the idea that he was like an anti-war president is not true. There was rhetorically, he was very different than previous presidents, and he would at least talk about the idea that these wars were disasters, that we never should have fought them, and that really America shouldn't be involved in that business.
Also,
I'm glad that he's at least infusing that into the popular
I do think
conversation.
he came at it with an overview as a business guy. It's just bad business. These wars were costing trillions of dollars cumulatively to get nowhere, really. What's your assessment of Trump on the foreign stage?
And there's huge conflicts of interest also with this war machine that our country is seemed to have embraced and allowed to perpetuate. I'm voting for Trump because I hate war. And I don't know if any of you, I hate that it's the old men who call for wars and they send our young men to go fight those wars for them.
And I'm tired of like young men just going and doing it while they sit on recliners and puff on cigars, sending everybody to wars. Like, I'm tired of that.
them, our young men and our young women. And, you know, all politics are personal. I don't know if any of you have a real personal connection with those who have been sent to war zones. And then the guys, the gals, they come back different people. They're adversely affected. On a personal level here, I will do whatever I can, and I will support whatever candidate needs support in order to avoid war. Why I will not support Kamala is she doesn't understand, for one, that inherent link between energy development, energy independence in America, and that inherent link between that and our safety and our sovereignty. And because Kamala and because the Democrat Party has put an end to so much of our exploration, certainly so much of our development of our own natural resources.
Isn't America producing more energy today than we have in all of history?
No, we're not. And
that's not true? We're not?
No, we're not. And
okay.
Remember, Kamala and her administration, day one, they stopped pipelines, no more drilling on federal land.
So, so we look up, America's not producing energy. You ran with McCain. You said you care about veterans and everything. Did Trump's comments about McCain bother you at all? Did Trump prefers people that didn't get captured?
I've never said anything negative about McCain or any.
I didn't ask if you said it. I asked if Trump's comments bother you about that.
Anyway,
when Trump made fun of that Gold Star family for their child, did that bother you?
They bother me.
I wrote a column criticizing him heavily
for it. She cares about vets. I had two parents who served in the Air Force. I'm just curious, if you cared about vets, did these comments bother you?
If
when
I
Trump
care
tried to go to
about
Arlington
vets,
and do a photo
if
op there.
I care about vets,
yeah, if
really,
you do, did these comments bother you?
If I care about vets.
If you cared about vets,
so
I'm asking, do these comments bother you?
the inherent link between energy and prosperity and energy
talk
security.
About whether or not Trump's comments about McCain
you interrupted the point that I was going to make.
Because you're not making any points. These are political talking points. Are we running for office in here?
Really? Really?
You did run for office, by the way. You ran with John McCain, the most warmongering man that we know of. Why did you run with John McCain?
The point to make.
Why did you run with John McCain if you're anti-wars?
To make a positive difference in our country.
But he would have sent more people to die.
You don't know that.
I do. He literally said bomb, bomb, bomb Iran. He sang it.
Yeah.
I mean,
he
sang
it.
Bomb, bomb, bomb. What?
He did campaign.
He campaigned on a war platform.
He campaigned on 100 years in Iraq.
He campaigned on staying in Iraq 100 years and bombing Iran.
You're asking why I accepted the nomination to
I'm just wondering, you're sitting here saying you're against war abroad, and yet I just want to remind younger viewers at home, you ran with the most warmongering senator of my lifetime.
And you're asking why I ran for vice president of the United States of America.
No, I know why you ran. You wanted power. I'm just saying why you're not consistent.
I mean, to be fair to Palin,
he kind of got Sarah Palin on that one, to be real.
Vance accepted the nomination, and he said that Trump could be America's next Hitler. So, I mean, you know.
All right, why don't we try and be a little fairer to the ex-governor, because she's on her own here getting attacked by three brutal males.
And I wanted to talk about energy and America's.
Yeah, finish your point.
All you said was false about energy. Facts matter too. America has record energy production right now.
No.
It does.
What's
People
false?
can Google it right now and see
When
the
I said that on day one, what the Biden administration did was halt so much of our exploration
and yet we have record energy
and our construction of pipelines. And
I'm not a fan of that, by the way. I think we should have less energy production.
You lied.
I'm a critic of Biden on his energy production.
You're a liar. You lied.
I'm a liar.
She said, "You're a liar. You lie." She funny.
Yes, and you said, no, Biden didn't do that. Yes, he did on day one.
Do you know he handed out more licenses to Trump? Do you know that?
I'm making the point that you denied. My point is true.
Destiny said energy's higher, and you said no. So if anyone lied, you did.
Listen.
People can DVR it. They can rewind it and see you saying a false statement.
Let me ask this question.
Is energy production higher? Is energy production higher today?
You don't think that Biden
is energy production higher under Biden than Trump?
And you just
is
lied
energy production higher, Sarah Palin? It's a very simple question. I know facts are not your strong point. Is energy production higher today under Biden than under Trump? It's a simple yes or no question.
You're an obnoxious.
Hey, y'all, he is getting under Sarah Palin's skin, bro. Now she's starting to ad hominem attacks. She's like, you're obnoxious. Let's rewind this, bro.
Talk about energy and America's.
Yeah, finish your point.
All you said was false about energy. Facts matter too. America has record energy production right now.
No.
It does.
What's
People
false?
can Google it right now and see the
When I said that on day one, what the Biden administration did was halt so much of our exploration
and yet we have record energy
and our construction of pipelines. And
I'm not a fan of that, by the way. I think we should have less energy production. I'm a critic of Biden on his energy production.
You're a liar. You lied.
I'm a liar.
Yes, and you said, no, Biden didn't do that. Yes, he did on day one.
Do you know he handed out more licenses to Trump? Do you know that?
I'm making the point that you denied. My point is true.
Destiny said energy's higher, and you said no. So if anyone lied, you did.
Listen.
People can DVR it, they can rewind it and see you saying a false statement.
Let me
to
ask this question.
So you don't
energy
think
production high. Is
you
energy
don't
production
think
higher
that
today?
You don't think that Biden
Is energy
thwarted
production
our
higher under Biden than
exploration,
Trump?
And you just
Is
lied
energy production
and
higher,
said
Sarah Palin?
that
It's a very simple
Biden
question.
didn't
I know
do it.
facts are not your strong point. Is energy production higher today under Biden than under Trump? It's a simple yes or no
You're
question.
an obnoxious.
See, but the issue,
Facts
that's
hurt,
what
don't you?
really
Facts
are.
don't care about your
You say-
feelings.
Are Americans wrong when they have this feeling? Well, the feelings
I'm
oftentimes are
obnoxious
generated
because I asked
from
you if
the...
energy production's higher today than under Trump.
You're
That makes me
obnoxious
obnoxious.
because I'm asking you why you would say that
I mean, I'm
Biden
obnoxious.
didn't thwart.
You're a
He
racist.
didn't
We want to play
thwart-
that game? You said Obama is not born in America. He's
I
not one of
did?
us.
I
He's
said that?
Yeah, you said Trump is doing a great job asking for his birth certificate.
I
You said
said
he's
that?
you said he's not one of us. You said he jives and schmucks. Should we go down the record? You're gonna call me obnoxious?
Yo, he studied her before he went on here. He is clipping Sarah Palin, bro. What y'all think about this?
You talk about your racism.
Yeah.
What did we talk about your racism?
Why do you change the
You
subject
said
instead of
Black
just
Lives Matter
answering a
protesters are
question?
dogs. Should we go down? Should
I
we go down
said
the
they're
All right,
dogs.
all right,
You're
hang
a
on.
liar.
All right, let's-
Show
let's-
me where I ever said that.
You're a liar. Yo, she can't stand this dude, bro.
with the most warmongering senator of my lifetime.
And you're asking why I ran for vice president of the United States
No,
of
I
America?
know why you ran. You wanted power.
well,
I'm just
asked-
saying why you're not consistent.
you-
But
I mean,
maybe
to be,
that's
to
a
be fair to
pointless
Palin,
question.
Vance accepted the
asked-
nomination, and he said that Trump could be America's next Hitler. So, I mean,
That's
you
true,
know.
maybe.
All right, why don't we try and be a little fairer to the ex-governor, because she's on her own
was a
here getting
question.
attacked
It was
by
a
three
question.
brutal
And I
males.
wanted
Well,
to
I
talk
think-
about energy and America's
Yeah, finish your
need
point on
What you
that.
said was
for
false about energy. Facts matter too.
and
America has record energy production
independent-
right now.
No.
It does.
What's
People
false?
can Google it right now
When
and see
I
the God's
said that
telling
on
the truth.
day one, what the Biden administration did was halt so much of our exploration
we have record energy
and our
production.
construction of pipelines. And
I'm not a fan of that, by the way. I think we should have less
denied-
energy production.
You
I'm a
lied.
critic of
You're
Biden
a
on his
liar.
energy production.
You're a liar. You lied.
I'm
and
a
you,
liar.
Yes, and you said, no, Biden didn't do that. Yes, he did on day one.
Do you know he handed out more
They
licenses to
they
Trump? Do you know that?
I'm making the point that you denied. My point is true.
Destiny said energy's
that-
higher, and you said no. So if anyone lied, you did.
Listen.
People
All
can
right.
DVR it, they can rewind it and
All
see
right.
you saying a
Let
false
me ask-
statement.
let me
to
ask this
Des
question.
question.
So you don't
That energy
think
production
that,
Is
you
energy
don't
production
think
higher
that
today?
Biden, you don't think that Biden
Is energy
thwarted
production
our
higher under Biden than
exploration,
Trump?
And you just
Is
lied
energy production
and
higher,
said
Sarah
that-
Palin?
that
It's a very simple
Biden
question.
didn't
I know
do it.
facts are not your strong point. Is energy production higher today under Biden than under Trump? It's a simple yes or no
You're
question.
an obnoxious.
See, but then the issue,
Facts
that's what
hurt, don't you?
really
Facts
are.
don't care about your
You say-
feelings.
Are Americans wrong when they have this feeling? Well, the feelings
I'm
oftentimes are
obnoxious
generated
because I asked
from
you if
the...
energy production's higher today than under Trump.
You're
That makes me
obnoxious
obnoxious.
because I'm asking you why you would say that
I mean,
Biden
I'm obnoxious.
didn't thwart.
You're a
he
racist.
didn't
We want to play
thwart-
that game? You said Obama is not born in America. He's
I
not one of
did?
us.
I
He's
said that?
Yeah, you said Trump is doing a great job asking for his birth certificate.
I
you said
said
he's
that?
you said he's not one of us. You said he jives and schmucks. Should we go down the record? You're going to call me obnoxious? Why don't we talk about your racism?
Yeah.
Why don't we talk about your racism?
Why do you change the subject
you
instead
said
of
Black
just
Lives Matter
answering a
protesters are dogs.
question?
Should we go down? Should
I
we go down
said
the
they're
All right,
dogs.
all right,
You're
hang
a
on.
liar.
All right, let's-
Show
let's-
me where I ever said that protesters
It's funny you didn't
are
deny the
dogs.
Obama. You say Obama's
Let
shock
me-
and jive.
You're
All
a
right.
liar.
Mehdi, if you get the governor on your show, which is, I would say, unlikely as things stand,
She is fuming, y'all. He said, like, you a liar, you are obnoxious, and you lie.
if you do, you can continue the prosecution. Let me just segue to this, though, because it's
I
interesting.
called people dogs who were protesting in
believe you.
America.
I
You're a
believe you did.
liar.
Did you question Obama's birth?
Oh my goodness!
Did you
are
say
a
he's
liar.
not one of us?
You know, based
Did you say he's
on
palling around
that-
with terrorists?
Based on that, we're talking about Bill Ayers at the time and how
So you stand by
Obama
that?
had kicked off.
All right, so let's see if she's lying. All right. This is the Washington Post, though. They be lying. All right, let's see. Yeah. Sarah Palin feud on Piers Morgan. Let's say Sarah Palin called black protesters dogs. Since our president won't say it, Palin said at a Tea Party rally in nation's capital, says he still hasn't called off the dogs. We will say it. Police, officers, and first responders all across this great land, we got your back. We salute you, she cheered. Thank you, police officers. Though Palin never said anything specifically about Black Lives Matter activists, a few reporters remain convinced as to the meaning of her dog's comment. Since our president won't say it, Sarah Palin said at a Tea Party rally at nation's capital, since he still hasn't called off the dogs, we will say it. He can construe that as you saying that, Sarah Palin. He can. But she's right too, where she didn't technically say it, but she did. So, I mean, she called him a liar, but I mean, he could, he got her on a technicality. Like, oh, you didn't say that?
What are we talking about your racing?
Why did you change the subject?
You said Black Lives Matter protesters are dogs. Should we go down?
I said they're dogs.
All right,
You're
hang
a
on.
liar.
All right,
Show me where I ever said that protesters
It's funny you didn't deny the Obama. You say Obama's shocking judge.
You're a liar.
Mehdi, if you get the governor on your show, which is, I would say, unlikely as things stand, if you do, you can continue the prosecution. Let me just segue to this, though, because it's interesting.
I called people dogs who were protesting in America. You're a liar.
Did you question Obama's birth?
Oh my goodness!
Did you say he's not one of us?
You know,
Did you say he's palling around with terrorists?
Based on that, we're talking about Bill Ayers at the time and how Obama had kicked off.
You're standing by Obama's with terrorists.
Oh my goodness! I can't believe
you
even
say
have
he's not
a
one of
show.
us?
If you
Did you say Obama's not one of us?
I still want to know this proof that you have of me calling protesters in America dogs.
I believe you refer to Black Lives Matter protesters that
I
way. If I'm
believe
wrong,
you
I'll
are
happily
wrong.
withdraw
All
that
right,
comment.
we'll fact check after this. I want to ask you this, Mehdi, because you're being very vocal and taking on Sarah Palin.
I mean, I got called obnoxious for pointing out energy production levels.
I don't think you would win a court case about not being
you're
obnoxious. But let's move on. Let's move on.
Biden not thwarting our
I can also be
exploration and
obnoxious before you
development.
just play the water battery. Let me just ask you this, though. Given that you believe Trump is, a racist who's holding neo-Nazi style rallies and so on, why is it that he's gaining significant ground with black and Latino voters? Why would they gravitate to a man who is literally, in your eyes, the new version of a Nazi?
It's a good question. I think because minority communities are not monoliths. I'm having the same issues in my own Muslim community where a lot of Muslims, not a lot, but some Muslims are actually going to vote for Trump because they're upset about Gaza. They think he's the peace candidate. And I think people have different reasons. I think we can make generalizations about entire communities. I'm not going to make generalizations about black
incredible.
or
You have the
Latino voters.
you have
Although I think it's slightly exaggerated. There's an ABC poll that came out on Sunday.
You have a woman...
There's an ABC poll that came out on Sunday that shows Harris is doing better with black and Latino men than Joe Biden did in 2020.
But the significant thing, Dave, is that Trump's own popularity with black and Latino voters is significantly increased.
What is that popularity? What are the numbers that we're talking here? Are we going from like 11% to 17%?
I think I read on African Americans, it's something like from about 4 or 5% to nearly 20%. That's significant.
It depends on what polls you look at. And again, like we'll figure out in, well, I guess it might take us a few weeks before we have this data, but we'll see what actually ends up happening on the election day. There is something very interesting about the fact that if you look at the aggregate of the polls, Trump's support amongst minorities seems to be going up. There is, at least on the surface, that seems kind of funny given how he's being covered in the corporate media. I really do think that a lot of the there's kind of like the progressive cultural worldview is often very disconnected from what people in these communities actually care about. I think the fact that I think personally there's actually a lot of things that appeal to certain people in these communities that Donald Trump, just in his personality. But I really do think that if you ask them, it all is coming down to the same two things that it's coming down to for most voters, which is immigration and the economy. Yeah. These are the two big issues across all the polls.
It is, I mean, whatever side of this you're on with Trump, it is fascinating that somebody who, many on your side believe is this appalling racist and everything else, that he is increasing support in minority groups. Why is
certain talking? Because black people and Hispanic people and Asian people and white, we're not fundamentally different. You can appeal to people using certain talking points. Like, I hate that I'm saying this, but like Dave said, I agree that that talking about immigration and inflation, that's a thing that plays to a lot of communities, especially if you're a poor community, especially if you don't have as much money. These are things that are probably hitting you the hardest. Now, the issue where the rubber meets the road is that while Trump will talk about inflation, while Trump was running for president, he ran huge deficits in a great economy. There is no reason for it. At least Biden has an excuse to run deficits. We're coming out of a global pandemic. And Donald Trump's every single policy that Donald Trump is talking about will increase inflation. It's going to. Who do you think? You think that I'm going to care if my coffee costs $10 or $15 because of tariffs? It's not going to bother me. It's not going to bother anybody sitting here. It's going to bother the very same communities that are trying to vote for him because they're worried about things like inflation. And the policies themselves don't even make sense, right? What do you think is going to happen when we deport 12 million workers, or when we deport however many people Donald Trump wants to, or when we cut immigration even harder at the border, right? Donald Trump will simultaneously say we're shipping all of our factories to Mexico because they're making cars down there, but we want to ban all the people from coming to the United States to make the cars. It doesn't make any sense.
Allow me to remind you of my favorite statistic, which is...
I don't care about Obama. Obama is not running for president, so I don't know why. I don't care.
You're ahead of me, but let me do it anyway.
I know, I've heard it. The deporter in chief.
It's my favorite stat.
It doesn't matter. All it proves is that Trump is a liar when you say he ran on immigration because Obama was already deporting a ton of people.
The single greatest deporter of people in American presidential history, pro rata, per year, was Barack Obama.
So then would you say that Trump was lying when he said that the Democrats were bad on immigration?
Over 3 million in 8 years.
Yeah, so would you say that Trump was lying when he said that Obama was bad on immigration?
No, I'm simply saying there's
so much... I'm curious, would you say that Donald Trump and the Republicans lied when they said that Obama had an open border?
There is so much...
Palin has probably said that Obama had an open border. Did they lie when they said that?
Call her Mrs. Palin. Be respectful.
Mrs. Palin.
Mrs. Palin.
Palin. Did Obama have an open border?
Hang on. Do you think
she like, I'm not even about to address this fool right
Donald Trump's going to win in a week?
I do. And I think that, again, you are underestimating the wisdom of the people. The collective here in the electorate, people saying we do need a change from what we have just witnessed for 3.5 years, 4 years.
I like the look she be giving people. Like I don't think Sarah Palin play outside of this. When she was going in on doing like, you're a liar. Like she was. She funny.
Was Barack Obama.
So then would you say that Trump was lying when he said that the Democrats were bad on immigration?
Over 3 million in 8 years.
Yeah, so would you say that Trump was lying when he said that Obama was bad on immigration?
No, I'm simply saying there's
so much... I'm curious, would you say that Donald Trump and the Republicans lied when they said that Obama had an open border?
There is so much...
Palin has probably said that Obama had an open border. Did they lie when they said that?
Call her Mrs. Palin. Be respectful.
Mrs. Palin.
Mrs. Palin.
Did Obama have an open border?
Hang on. Do you think Donald Trump...
He's being so immature. Like, just calm down, bro.
He's going to win in a week?
I do. And I think that, again, you are underestimating the wisdom of the people. The collective here in the electorate, people saying we do need a change from what we have just witnessed for 3.5 years, 4 years now. And Kamala will perpetuate, she will continue what the Biden administration did.
What do you think, Trump clearly has something... And I'll use this word and it's going to enrage these two. I don't mean it in the sense of fantasy magic, but he's got a magical touch which allows vast numbers of people to gravitate to him. I saw it last night, not just in the Madison Square Garden. Outside there were tens of thousands of people trying to get in, right? So he's got something. I saw Jonathan Karl on ABC this morning saying, whatever you think of it, he said, I can't think of a single Republican nominee ever who could have packed out Madison Square Garden at this stage of a campaign in Democrat-dominated New York.
He's not even that popular. Has Trump's popularity
ever been
above 45%?
This is what ABC's Jonathan Karl said, not me, right?
Is he going to win New York?
No, but you know what? He's going to do very much better in New York than people would have expected. And I do think there's a potential that Trump could do a massive sweep of all the swing states. I do. And I think he might also win the popular vote, which would be extraordinary, given where things are. I'm also reminded, Mehdi, that in the 2020 election, Trump got nearly 10 million more votes than first time around in 2016.
Moving forward said this guy's 35 talking to a 60-year-old woman like she's on the street level, on his level. And then Matta said Trump 2024. Marsha said former border agent J.J. Carroll said that 30 to 40 million have crossed the border. Numbers are down now at the border because we are flying them into the U.S.
So, notwithstanding your own very deep-rooted views about him, there is something, as I say, magical in his ability to bring these people to him and believe in him, right? It may be a magic that he hates and he hates.
I mean, there is other speakers in history.
I saw it last night. There is a fervour about his support, which is tangible.
Magic.
Yeah.
Well, I think, you know, if you take away the checkbook and the bank account, right, that Trump is owner of, you can ratchet down what it is that he stands for and the way he speaks and the connection that he has with people that covers all demographics. And he's like a regular person. And I know that personally, and we've been friends for many years. Before he became a bigwig in politics, we became friends because he had a connection with me through family. He saw what the press was doing to me, the media was doing to me back when I was a governor, when they were attacking my kids, and they were, on a national level, they were telling lies about my administration, my record, my reputation. And Trump started reaching out to me back then, saying, hey, hang in there, and it's tragic what they're doing to your kids. That's not fair. So we connected over that. And then through these years, that connection has grown. I see firsthand how he is able to reach out, and there is charisma there, the way he is able to reach out and make connections. He speaks like the everyday man.
Yeah.
People think that's perhaps uncouth, and he may not have some kind of pedigree that some people would desire to see in him, but that mirrors kind of the general population in America, where, again, take away the checkbook, take away the money, and he can connect to the everyday man.
Mehdi, who's going to win? Putting aside who you want to win,
don't know.
Who's going to win?
I don't know.
That means to me you think he's going to win.
Yeah, of course he could win. I've said that to anyone.
But
who
the fact you
regardless,
don't know means you think...
Of course he could win. He's neck and neck in the polls, which probably means he's leading. If you're neck and neck in the polls, Trump's support is often understated in the polls.
Yeah.
So I think Democrats should be panicking.
Yeah, he did better in 2016 and 2020 than he was polling.
Yes,
right.
Which is
so. Now I don't know.
Although I would say there's 500,000 Puerto Ricans in Pennsylvania, I'm sure the Democrats are going to
Dave, let me ask you, Dave, who are you going to vote for?
I did not vote for Trump in 2016 or 2020, and I've been basically just as of this week being like, I might actually vote for him this time. And just to be clear,
I voted for Trump. Like, who did y'all vote for? Like, did y'all vote for Trump or not in his first term?
is totally just a vote against Kamala Harris. I was so disgusted at her campaigning with Liz Cheney and going on this tour of like trying to, I don't know, rehabilitate the image of the Cheneys. And I'm so disgusted at the
exactly. Like they did not like the Cheneys, bro.
That I've never seen a campaign like Kamala Harris's before, where is literally running on nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, not even like running on bad ideas. Well, listen, I don't think it's not literally true, but what I'm saying, obviously, is that she ran a campaign for president in 2020. She has walked away from every central issue that she was campaigning on in 2020. When asked about it, she says, "That was 5 years ago." Like that's her. There's
defund
no, like,
the police.
Oh,
I don't want to defund the police.
I'm not for that.
Ban
my values
fracking. I don't want to ban
fracking.
fracking.
My values haven't changed. It was 5 years ago.
Trump did a 3-hour interview with Joe Rogan and lied like 50 times.
All right,
okay, anyway.
But just to be clear, you are going to vote Trump.
He could say something that disgusts me so much in between now and when I vote that I might not. Like if he's every time
nothing he said last night disgusted you.
I didn't actually watch the full speech last night, but the stuff, anything on the topic of Israel is probably going to risk losing my support for him. But I do think that there is something about the Kamala Harris campaign that is almost like a completely manufactured campaign by the machine. She's not running on what she ran on last time she ran for president. She's not running on her track record as vice president because she's not Joe Biden. Yeah. And so I just find it like, I'm so disgusted by it that I want it to lose.
Will you be voting Trump?
Absolutely not.
Will you vote for Kamala Harris with great enthusiasm?
Absolutely, 100%. Trump is one of the most appalling thing. Yeah, of course. I was promised communism after 8 years of a foreign Kenyan person being in office, Obama, and that didn't happen. I was promised communism, socialism, and all my guns were going to be gone. I lived in Omaha, Nebraska, and every time a Democrat was up for office, you need to come down to Ammo's R Us and buy guns. They're going to take them. It never happened under Biden. The United States economy is outperforming every other economy in the world right now under Biden's policies that ostensibly Harris will continue. She will most likely continue these policies. The idea that Trump, and also the hilarious thing of Kamala's running on nothing, Trump is running on tariffs, and deportation.
Okay, but let me ask you a different question.
Mass deportation.
But who do you think is going to win?
Mehdi, I have no idea.
Is
Yeah, by the way,
Kamala-
that's
is Kamala
my
the
answer
best
too,
that they-
essentially.
That they've got, though, is,
Kamala's-
or
yeah.
would you have rather seen some competition to allow the cream to rise?
I
Would
think
you
it
have
would have
rather
been
seen?
much
Would you have
better.
rather seen Trump accept a debate with any of the other people, with DeSantis, or any of the
Oh, this is on Sirius Radio. Oh, that's dope.
other Republican
I,
candidates who are
I
running?
love debate, and
Well,
I
he
love.
actually should have.
Wait,
In
wait,
a
wait,
way-
wait, wait,
in a
wait,
way-
wait,
in a
where
way
were
he
the
did.
Republicans calling for? Did you call for Donald Trump to accept debates?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, because I didn't hear the Republican Party call for him much.
But the
It
truth
seemed
is, he ran away with the nomination so fast and so aggressively, it was all
Yeah,
over.
it's also like I wanted to see, just for the entertainment value, I wanted to see Trump in those
Trump is a-
debates.
Trump-
but
I actually would have enjoyed watching him beat up Ron
The
DeSantis.
It would've
irony,
been fun.
the
It
irony
would've been
is,
fun
the
to see.
irony
So,
is
I don't know.
Kamala Harris actually beat him in their one debate, no question. But I think she's going to lose the election, and when she does, it will be because of cost of living and immigration. But look, I've got to leave it there. It's been a fantastically entertaining panel. In England, what
Yeah,
we-
y'all did really good, man. Shout out to y'all.
J.D. Vance tries to steer CNN's Jake Tapper toward the issues that Americans really care about during a fiery interview. Watch this.
We talk about how Americans can't afford groceries. Jake.
Hold on, let's go here.
Now the Democrats.
This is my girl, Rita. This is my girl, bro. Subscribe to Sky News Australia. She be clipping the Democrats.
Now, the Democrats' propaganda arm is also looking increasingly unhinged. Here is Jake Tapper of CNN claiming that his network didn't incessantly push the Russian collusion hoax. Watch this exchange with J.D. Vance.
You guys talked about the Russia hoax nonstop.
The FBI was investigating it. The FBI was investigating it, and so we covered them.
And so you took the words of unnamed FBI agents and put them on your network as if they were the gospel truth. You did it again and again. A viewer of your network would have believed that Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin conspired in 2016.
No.
That was totally and preposterously false.
No.
Well, that's
what you just
that's
said is
why.
false.
He says no, but that is precisely what CNN did, including old mate Jake. Here's just a little reminder of Jake pushing Russia hysteria.
President Trump has gone to, quote, extraordinary lengths to keep specifics about his meetings with Russian President Vladimir Putin secret, even keeping them from top members of his own administration. Take a listen to how President Trump responded Saturday night when asked directly if he has ever worked for Russia.
I think it's the most insulting thing I've ever been asked. I think it's the most insulting article I've ever had written.
The president did not directly answer the question. It's a stunning turn of events. Do you think the president of the United States ever worked on behalf of the Russians against American interests?
Yeah, hit the like button if y'all can. 100K subs, hit the like button. Matt, shout out to you. Appreciate you.
Joining me now for more Lefties Losing It content is comedian, host of Primetime with Alex Stein on Blaze TV. Alex, what did you make of the Trump rally today at Madison Square Garden? It had everything. It had Dr. Phil, Elon Musk, Melania spoke. And I've got to say, Trump was in superb form, and he took the opportunity to announce a brand new policy during his speech. Let's have a listen.
I'm announcing a new policy today that I will support a tax credit for family caregivers who take care of a parent or a loved one. It's about time that they were recognized.
Fire.
They add so much to our country and are never spoken of, ever, but they're going to be spoken of now. Thank you all very much.
It's a fantastic policy, Alex. It's about family, keeping families together. It's about supporting
And then you
those-
got to think about like the cost of putting somebody in an assisted living facility is insane. Like literally, like it's crazy.
those who support their loved ones.
Oh, it's a great policy. And, you know, this rally was great, but my favorite part was seeing AOC and Tim Walsh react to Tony Hinchcliffe's jokes about Puerto Rico. So I just love that Donald's keeping his edge. You know, he's staying edgy, having this rally at Madison Square Garden that they're calling a Nazi rally. It's absolutely disgusting that they label it that. But I think that this was a very monumental and powerful event. And it was awesome to watch it on Twitter and X, excuse me.
Some absolutely disgusting commentary from Walls Down about comparing this to a Nazi rally. I personally know a number of Jewish New Yorkers who were there, and they would be absolutely disgusted by that sort of talk. Now, Tucker Carlson, your biological stepdad, also took to the stage, and he had this to say.
They spent 10 years telling you Trump is a hater. Do you feel that on him? No, you don't. Because it's not there. I've spent a lot of time with Trump. And there's not one moment I've ever been with him off camera where he's spending his time grousing about people he hates. Ever. He's talking about the people and the country he loves in his private time. Trust me. And people know in a country that has been taken over by a leadership class that actually despises them and their values and their history and their culture and their customs, really hates them to the point that it's trying to replace them, they know someone who actually has affection for them, and that's Donald Trump.
And he's so right. It's basically what we just talked about. They're showing their disdain for these people, their hate of ordinary Americans by comparing this rally to a Nazi rally. And you mentioned comic Tony Hinchcliffe. He joked about that.
The other side's got a lot of crazy endorsements. Swift, Eminem, Leo DiCaprio, Beyonce. Every day the Democratic Party looks more and more like a P. Diddy party. Hillary Clinton said that this...
That's a fact, bro. That is a fact. Spirit said, hey, Piper, is this your first time watching this rally? No. Like, we reacted to the rally in another video.
This is a Nazi rally here today.
I want to get Rita's perspective. I rock with Rita.
Can you believe that? For the most anti-war president of my entire lifetime, and she calls him Hitler. Let me remind you, Hillary, it was your husband who shot innocent people, or as he called them, interns. Yeah, Hillary, I bet you did not see that one coming. By the way, if I commit in 3 weeks, I didn't.
I love that Arkansas joke at the end there. This is something Joe Rogan spoke about with Donald Trump, that it's the right now, it's the Republicans, the conservatives who are the rebels. They're the cool kids. The conformists are all on the left.
No, you're exactly right. And, you know, you saw that first clip of the Joe Rogan and Donald Trump podcast was Joe talking about how everybody on The View used to love Donald Trump and every celebrity loved Donald Trump.
That is really interesting. Whoopi Goldberg said a lot of favorable things towards Donald Trump. The other lady, I can't remember what her name is, but she said a lot of favorable things to Donald Trump too. And as soon as she gets on there on The View, she starts bashing him. It's sad.
The #1 show, The Apprentice, that was on NBC. So it's all fake that they now hate him. It's absolutely ridiculous. So Tony Hinchcliffe killed it. These celebrities that showed up, my biological stepfather, Tucker Carlson. I mean, I really hope that this actually does have an effect, because I think if they're playing fair, Rita, America is on Donald Trump's side.
Well, you were at the Harris Walls campaign launch, which was huge. It wasn't a launch, sorry. It was a rally in Houston. The numbers there were enormous. I heard 30,000 people showed up. But were they there to see Kamala? Were they there to see Beyonce? You posted this video.
The Kamala Harris rally in Houston, Texas was absolutely insane. You saw Beyonce and Kelly Rowland walked out. Kelly looked like Beetlejuice.
But again, was that to see Harris, or were they expecting a free Beyonce concert?
100%. Everybody was under the impression that Beyonce was going to do some sort of performance. And people were literally lining up since 3 p.m. in the Texas heat, just queuing all day until they finally opened the gates around 5 p.m. And then it took them a long time to check everybody in. And what was so sad is not only did you see a lot of African Americans, you know, a lot of LGBTQ people, but you saw a lot of children that were so excited to see Beyonce. I mean, these kids are like, oh, I've never been to a Beyonce concert. People with their daughters, their cousins, and these kids, when they realized that Beyonce was not performing, you could just see the devastation on their face. The Kamala Harris campaign should be absolutely embarrassed that they would even do this sort of bait and switch operation and just ruin all of the good vibrational energy that they created when the event started, for it to just be a massive letdown. The energy was absolute. What
do y'all think about that? That's super crazy. Like, you making people think Beyonce is going to be performing and then she doesn't. Like, that's crazy, bro.
Now, my next guest has been at the forefront of challenging the left's relentless culture wars. He's
Yeah, I don't care about Beyonce at all.
had enormous success in exposing just how extreme and dangerous this movement has become, but also how completely vacuous it is. His documentaries, including the brilliant What is a Woman, have achieved huge commercial success, and they have also opened the eyes of many to what is being pushed in the name of diversity, inclusion and equity. Let's have a look at his latest groundbreaking work, Am I Racist?
Let's be clear what's happening in this country. It's Nazism. Republicans are Nazis. You cannot separate yourselves from the bad white people.
Is it because I said I had 17 black friends? It might have been 15. It depends on how you count them.
Am I racist?
I would really appreciate it if you left.
I'm trying to learn. I'm on this journey.
Can you please leave?
I'm going to sort this out. I need to go deeper undercover.
Yeah, that's crazy. Let's see this. Let's see what she
All right,
did.
guys.
Shout
So
out
we
to my
previously
girl.
told you that there is a journalist, an accomplished journalist named Yoichi Clark Shimatsu, formerly the editor of the Japan Times, who made some stunning claims about Kamala Harris and her late mother, Shamla Goplin. As a graduate of Berkeley University, Clark, as he prefers to be called, ran in the same circles as them. And he claims that Kamala's mother was a part of the CIA's MK Ultra program, a psychopathic, sadistic program that ran throughout the 60s, probably is still running today, in which Americans and even government agents alike were drugged and sometimes murdered with the aim of brainwashing the masses. Clark also claims, rather stunningly, that Kamala Harris was previously married to a wealthy Canadian, a marriage which her connections to the deep state have gone through great pains to delete from public record. So is he telling the truth? Well, I'll let you decide, because today we welcome him onto the show. Welcome back to Candace. Piece, which was quite
Man helped Kamala Harris, then he mysteriously died. What?
fascinating for a lot of reasons. You had mentioned a previous marriage that Kamala had. You had mentioned the MK Ultra program. I would like to just start with Kamala's mother and speak about the MK Ultra program, because it's actually a program that I've been speaking about at length on the podcast this year, that I've been asking Americans and the world to really familiarize themselves with. So can you just let us know how it is that you are familiar with Shamla Goplin, Kamala's mother's work, and what it is that you know about her, please?
Well, I was sort of a contemporary of theirs in the book area. I worked at a news service in San Francisco, Pacific News Service, and so very familiar with the characters there, where she lived, the foreign student population at Berkeley. And I did attend the journalism school, the graduate school of journalism at Berkeley. So this is all familiar ground for me. Kamala was a prosecutor later when. She was behind the incarceration of like hundreds and probably thousands of young black juvenile delinquents. Yeah, there was young kids, but you have to understand the situation. Then the older guys who were running the drug trade for the cartel at the schools, they would forcibly recruit these young guys, and she was just slamming them into prison. They were just horrible, and that's one.
Wow, and then she wants to like derail people from that. Like, oh well, I prosecuted transnational criminal organization. But you locking up like an extraordinary amount of African Americans.
Reason why a lot of black men refuse to vote for her now. She, just that one-sided treatment while she let all the major cartel figures walk, or just warned them, get out of here, because the cops are trying to arrest you. So she was in the thick of it. She was the girlfriend of Willie Brown, who was a lawyer. He had a law office for the cartel. Later, he became mayor and a state senator. But she was just in the dirty business. And one of my best friends and proteges, Jeff Adachi, died mysteriously.
Yes, let's actually speak about that. So you have a young friend and your protege named Jeff Adachi, and the first time that I had come across his name was in your piece, and I did do a little bit of research, and it is a fact that he did die rather mysteriously, and I think it would be fair to say that he was a contender of Willie Brown's office. Willie Brown was running somebody against him, definitely made enemies, I would say, of the Democrat elite class in San Francisco. So could you just inform my readers a little bit more about Jeff Adachi?
The thing is, he was at Both Hall as a contemporary of Kamala's. He was a straight A student, and she was. They were going to kick her out because her grades were so bad, and they didn't think she'd make it in law. She's never been a good speaker, and he was appointed to be her tutor and got her through both to get her degree. Later on, she was hired to be public prosecutor, And strangely enough, he was a public defender, and he set up this huge program in which a lot of people really, like a lot of parents in the Western Addition and in the Fillmore, those in the Black District, were really enthusiastic because he was getting the kids out of prison. These were really hardcore prisons, and getting them into special ed programs, educational programs, work study programs, and straightening them out, and hundreds of kids. And so the community was overjoyed. And then one day he was found dead in his apartment. And they made all kinds of things that, oh, he had this affair with this Russian woman as if she had killed him. But no, she was just a visitor in town. He had gone over to visit and chat with her. And then the autopsy was also the first one said, oh, he was died of all these drugs. The second autopsy showed him to be clean. So this was just a major.
What? I mean, oh, man. Yeah. Let her talk.
Sure. Well, I hate to use the word conspiracy, but that was a conspiracy about his murder, to eliminate the guy who knew too much about Kamala, had opposed her treatment of young people, and they offed him, basically.
Well, you're on the right program to talk about conspiracies. I'll tell you that for free. One of the things that I've noted is that it does seem that part of this, if you want to call it a cabal, call it a mafia, one thing that they understand is to make sure that they control the medical examiner's office. And I don't think that there's any person in the entire world who would doubt that now, especially following COVID, that medical examiner offices are polluted with politics. And yes, if you're listening to this, you should look into the Jeff Adachi story. There's no question. You have a young person who has his entire life ahead of him. He dies rather suspiciously, and then the media starts throwing out all of these theories, which is what they tend to do. They create a bunch of theories so that it confuses the masses, and they look everywhere but where they should be looking. Now, I did not realize that he had helped Kamala in the past. I did not realize that they had a relationship.
But you would not have gone into the wall without his guidance and really attention. And it took a lot of time away from him. He was not a rich person. His father was an automobile mechanic. He worked his way through school. I mean, and as a straight A student, that's just amazing. Really nice kid. He helped me out a lot with the Southeast Asian refugees following the Vietnam War when they were banned from coming to the U.S. And I was dealing with a flood of them and needed some legal help because we were lobbying Congress. And Jeff just stepped right forward, took care of it, and really great kid. He didn't drink, didn't smoke. He really clean kid. We would go to bars in Japantown. Good singer at karaoke, but he didn't drink a drop. He was just a totally nice kid, all American.
And just what was the year, by the way, in which he passed? Or around about?
I think he died in the early 90s. I was by then in Japan. I had been hired after the San Francisco earthquake, major paper in Japan. So I took off, and I didn't hear about his death from my friends, because they were so tied up with it. And it was only much later that I heard it. I said, "What happened to Jeff?" And he says, "Oh, didn't you hear? He died." And then
what is it?
It was a funny shock to me, and there was nothing I could do it at the beginning. So it took me a long time.
This man helped Kamala Harris, and then he mysteriously died.
To catch up with Kamala on this one.
Okay, so what is it about Kamala that Jeff Adachi knew that you believe would have created some conflict for her?
The cartel connection. It wasn't mafia, it wasn't conspiracy, it was a cartel. She was an agent of the cartel. And I know other stories too about members of that. When San Francisco was very close circles, not a large city.
Right. We heard the same thing from Judge.
No one knew everything else, and no one really wanted to talk except me. I worked at the Pacific News Service, and I broke these stories, but even they were scared to take on the cartel.
Very interesting. And, I did recently speak to Judge Joe Brown, and he kind of intimated the same, that she was definitely involved in a lot of dirty politicking, and especially Willie Brown as well. And you mentioned Willie Brown in your piece and his connection, which you allegedly had to the cartel. Could you expand on that, please?
Yeah, well, he was from West Texas. He was there's a lot in California, a lot of immigrants from West Texas. When the cattle industry the ranching industry wasn't doing well, they migrated west. He got a law degree, and I believe in San Francisco.
I mean, I'm not saying any of this is true. I just want to put that out there. I'm just listening to her.
And his contact with the cartel was very, very early on. They probably helped him get his law degree. I remember one time, he knew me, we were going to a public event. It was sort of like a carnival that there was going to be some speeches at. Speak there. And I was walking toward that with my girlfriend, and then he comes walking right behind me.
Thank y'all for subscribing. It's been a lot of people subscribing.
It squeezes my arm as hard as he can. But you have to understand, I used to be a steel worker, a welder. I worked all kinds of jobs earlier in my life, so I was tough as nails. And once he felt my muscles flexing, he opened his hand up and just walked past me, past his house, sort of in humiliation. You know, they couldn't intimidate me. That's the kind of guy he was.
Wow, unbelievable. You hear these stories.
He was a very threatening fellow, and he knows me. When I talked about another girlfriend of him is London Breen. She's a mayor of San Francisco, and the first thing she does for homeless people as a welcome wagon is give them a pack of syringes and a bottle of heroin to inject.
Wow.
This is not a joke. You know, this is what they're doing there.
And so working on behalf of the cartel, and we heard from Judge Joe Brown last week also that while she was in power in San Francisco, that she worked to help George Soros essentially commit legal theft.
Yo, is George Soros still alive? Yo, he's still alive, 94, $7.2 billion. Shoot. How much is Stanley Druckenmiller worth? I used to work with him. $6.9 billion. I knew he was. Man, they know what they doing with money, right? Like, they broke the Bank of England. And then now, like, bro, he worth $6.9 billion.
By protecting one of his companies. And so we're hearing over and over again that essentially she was given power to make sure that the elites are allowed to continue these various illegal trades that they're participating in. And you seem to confirm that. I do want to...
San Francisco was run by basically the Jewish mafia. You know, Dianne Feinstein, she was born a Catholic and went to Catholic girls' school. But she married a Jewish guy and then just flipped over. And then... and I knew, and the Jews were behind the drug industry there. I remember visiting the Harlem one because a friend told me, "Oh, we got to go over there and visit this guy." And we went there, and sure enough, he was the biggest dope dealer distributor in San Francisco. He ran a garage, the big public garage in the middle of the city, where was a lot of money laundering. He was there right there, shameless about it, counting the cash at his little desk while his wife jumped on me and started rubbing her boobs on my face. You know,
who was this?
I forget his name. He was the major money launderer for the cartel, and the laundry was this huge public garage.
Why would he say that?
That everyone in San Francisco that parked there because they're right by the city had to use. There's this like 6-story garage, you know, and then he lived on Goat Hill there in a big mansion. And I was just invited there by a friend, and you know, we were smoking some weed. And he was saying, you know, this is the greatest era in American history because of heroes like, what's his name, the head of Microsoft? The head of Microsoft?
Bill Gates.
Bill Gates, yeah, he's a giant of American industry. And I said, this guy's out of his mind. You know, he's smoking too much. He's smoking up too much of the product that he's been selling, you know. So,
wow,
he was very core to the whole Jewish lawyers, but more important, the real estate industry. Because that's why they had all the young boys arrested. They cleared out the Western Addition because they wanted to put up nice, cute little apartments and cottages for the gays coming in from all over the country. Because they figured, because most of them are come from rich families, they live like 5 to a house to a building, share quarters, and they're going to die of AIDS, you know, within the next 6 years. So the house will be up for real estate.
Yo, this dude sounds crazy, Candace. If I'm gonna be real, you know, I rock with Candace Owens, but I don't know about this dude right here. It's me. What do y'all think? Y'all listening? Y'all think this dude is like with it? I mean, obviously we listening to it like faster, right? But he seemed like some hippie dude that it says, she said, joins me to discuss his research into background of Kamala's mother and the mysterious unaliving of his friend and former San Francisco public defender, Jeff. What do y'all think? He seemed like he capping. Yeah, I don't believe this dude, bro.
State again.
Wow.
It's really cynical. It's like, this is like a Dracula movie. You know, it's something out of this world, and this was America's most liberal city.
All right, guys, the media has dubbed this the abortion election. We have to stand up to this and talk about her mother because I was quite...
Jay said, hard to say. He forgot the name of one of the money launderers in the story. I know, man. I don't know, bro. I can't. I mean, she got like a lot of views. Like she can do whatever she want to do with her channel. I'll be careful. Like if I got that, like she got 2.8 million people following her, right? So let me give you a little perspective, right? So me personally, I got like 20 something thousand followers in like 3 weeks, right? What is it? It's 26,204 followers in 3 weeks. So when I see my numbers flying up, I'm like, I got to keep the content coming, right? And then my views went crazy. So I got like almost 40 million views, right? So, but like in the back of my mind, I'm like, you know what I mean? They're not just numbers. These are people. Like you have to be careful, like what you put out there. You see what I'm saying? Like, because anybody can say anything and say, oh, I got a story about this person. Like, just put me on. And then you give them the megaphone and you end up being liable for what they're saying. So I don't know, man. And it's like she came up with so much good information, like exposing like Kamala Harris's like family origin and all of that. Like this is, I wouldn't do this one right now. I wouldn't put this up. And she got like mad people watching it. She got 55,000 likes though.
Stunned by your assertion that she was involved in the MK Ultra
Catherine Freely said, oh, we speak in the big facts, friend. You're the only one who thinks they are lies. That's why I told you thinking and knowing are two different things, but you are loyal to a political party. That ain't S word. Are you talking to me? Like, I don't know who you're talking to.
program. And yet that to me seemed to be the only thing that made sense, because she seemed to be sort of infiltrating the civil rights movement. And I'm going, what is this alleged brilliant scientist doing? Constantly involving herself in civil rights protests and making friends with these individuals. And because I'm well read on the MK Ultra program, I recognize the connection there. Can you speak about what she did, or what you are alleging she did? Yeah.
Well, the first thing, but the first place, you got to understand that the Palin clan, they were like clerks, judges, spies for the British when India was a British colony. And Mr. Palin was born when it was still a British colony. So the rest of the country was up in arms fighting against the British, but they were very, very loyal to the British intelligence service and police service in India. So this is how they all got ahead, by catering to the British. And that enabled Shyamala Palin, when she was, after she got her degree in Madras, India, to enter UC Berkeley, which is not the cheapest school in the universe, nor is California a really inexpensive place to go. It's one of the most expensive places. I know. I went to school there. It's very expensive there. She worked at the monkey lab there. She was into it's a real strange combination of psychology, and simian studies and zoology. Okay, and she was an expert, training monkeys and all that. And Madras is an area, her hometown, where there's a lot of monkeys running around the Hindu temples and all that. And so she's very familiar and very good with them. And she ran the theory that, and this was a time of Jane Goodall. There's a huge boom of women who work with apes. Okay, there were ape programs set up all across the United States and England and Europe out of excitement of the Goodall story, news stories. And Goodall were treating apes, the monkey children, as sort of like human children, and getting some very, very good responses of taming them. Mm-hmm. So she was of that school. Now, what happened while she was at UC Berkeley? After she got
Spritzel said, I just tapped in. Do y'all think he's lying? I think he's lying. I don't believe this dude.
Her degree, she moved out of Berkeley and took her 2 kids and divorced her husband, this guy Harris, Donald Harris, who was well, at the time he was in biology, then he went into law. Divorced him and moved to San Francisco and did nothing for 2 years. She waited 2 years while her application was in to a hospital in Montreal. So this was the Jewish hospital in Montreal, okay, that she applied to.
Yes, that's where she eventually did work. Yeah, she was eventually employed there.
Process, because they had to check all your background, everything, every little detail about her. And this is because the very famous psychiatrist who really got the MK Ultra program going, Ewan Cameron. Ewan Cameron, he was a Scottish guy, a pedophile, and he was a torturer. He used all sorts of drugs on victims of that program. He passed away and there was like about 7 to 8 year hiatus where his program was shut down because there was no one in charge, and they had to move the program because Congress, there was a secret, not so secret. There was an investigation in Congress about MK Ultra, so the heat was on the Canadians. The UN Cameras lab was in Montreal. Okay, there was the heat was on the Canadians to fess up, so they shut that lab down. There's an infamous Allen lab, and then they wanted to set up another center, also connected to the University of McGill University there in Montreal. They had to have that certification. And in the meanwhile, they were trying to find the new
said
director.
F it then Thug Life. Like, I don't believe this dude, bro. I think he capped, bro.
Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt on Fox earlier saying the joke doesn't reflect the views of President Trump or our campaign, specifically talking about the Puerto Rico joke. But also she said the crowd, they didn't mind. You were there. Did you mind?
Look, the fact of the matter is I wasn't in the room when that joke was made, but I got to say.
You said, Maribel, you said she has receipts always. Does Candace actually know what she's talking about? Moving forward. I mean, she's not law. You know what I mean? Like she just put together like a bunch of good blogs that kind of make you think like, yo, what is up with this lady's lineage? But I mean, there is cracks in what she says, you know, but a lot of times she does say, yo, like, I'm not sure about this. I'm not sure. You know, it's good storytelling. You know what I mean? Candace is a good gossiper, but that, like, I would not have had that guy on there. I mean, she could do whatever she wants. I still support her. You said she keep receipts. Yeah, but I mean, I didn't really see no receipts on that. Said moving forward, Candace is very smart, but also very opinionated. She's young and jumps right in. Sometimes she gets a little too deep. Yeah, I don't know about. I think she. I mean, again, like, I didn't listen to the whole thing, but that guy, like, he can't remember names. He can't remember. Like, I don't know, bro. And then it's just like a guy passed away after helping Kamala Harris. Like, that's a serious charge. Like, I mean, she's not saying she did it. You know what I mean? It's just like speculatory, but something like that, I will leave that alone, especially with administration that's in power. Like, you got to be careful about what you put out there, bro.
We got to take a step back and look at the double standards.
Yeah, opinions are not facts.
Brianna, let's be really honest. George Lopez made a joke at Kamala Harris.
And then, where's the art? He said the conversation was for her to go and do more research for verification herself. Research it.
Rally over the weekend about all Mexicans being thieves. Are we attributing that comment to Kamala Harris or querying all of her proxies who were at that rally? No, we're not. So I think we need to all get off our high horses and acknowledge that a bad joke was told. It was bad because it wasn't very funny. The audience didn't find it funny. The guys told other funny jokes in other places. This wasn't one of them. But the media manufacturing of outrage out of this is really just a double standard when you look at the exact kind of jokes being told at the Kamala Harris rally over the weekend. And the fact is, if George Lopez had said that at the Donald Trump rally,
you've seen a comedy show before?
If I may finish, just to finish making the point, if the George Lopez joke had been told,
yo, this dude playing the whole
at the Donald Trump rally, you and I both know we'd be talking about that. But because it was at a Kamala Harris rally, we're not saying a word about it. And I think that that's just hypocritical.
I think that if your comedian were Mexican American, it might be different. I mean, you're familiar with, I'm assuming you've been to a comedy show. You're familiar with these things. If someone is of South Asian descent or they're Mexican.
I didn't like that comedian, bro. I think he blew it. That's my personal opinion. But I'm about to get up out of here. We probably going to end up going live sometime in the middle of the night or in the morning. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to take my dog out. You know what I mean? Let him use the bathroom, like feed him some more food. And, you know what I mean? Check out a couple of things. Probably watch a movie and then come back. You know what I mean? But shout out to everybody that, as far as Sarah Palin, I think she low-key got cooked though. Like, I think dude, like Hasan, like whatever his name is, like he cooked her. You know what I mean? Shout out to her though. Like, I think she, like when she said don't call off, like, you know, they're not trying to call off the dogs and all, like that can be interpreted in different ways, you know, but she was right. Like, she didn't directly say, you know what I mean? I didn't, when she said you're a liar, like I didn't call protesters dogs. Like, she didn't say that, you know, but the guy, when you leave something up into interpretation and you have a really good debater, that is an issue. You know what I mean? So shout out to everybody. I see people hitting the hearts, you know what I mean? Things like that. I appreciate y'all. But I'm out. Comment, rate, subscribe. Let me know what y'all think about that. If y'all can, click the notification bell so y'all know when I go live. Y'all know I'm not like all these other creators to where I just never talk to my chat.